Under the microscope, the tissue sample moved. Not cellular activity. Not blood flow. Actual movement. Deliberate. Alive. The lab tech dropped the slide. 3 days earlier, Sarah Martinez noticed a small bump on her forearm. Red. Warm. Tender to the touch. Day 3, she visited the clinic. The doctor dismissed it. It's a localized hematoma. Nothing to worry about. But day 4 at 3 a.m., she awoke to horror. Her arm was crawling. Tiny threads, shifting in slow motion, became a slim, glistening shape slithering beneath her skin. She froze. The worm only moves when your body temperature drops below 98 degrees. That's why Sarah woke at 3 a.m. But here's what terrified doctors. She wasn't the only one. Day 5, return to the clinic. Scans showed inflammation, tissue damage, but no parasite. The worm was too small to see, but big enough to feel. By morning, the bump had moved 3 inches down her arm, and the doctors still didn't believe her. Your arm is crawling at 3 a.m. Do you? A. Go to ER immediately and risk the worm burrowing deeper during transport. B. Stay home and try to keep your body temperature up until sunrise. The wrong choice could be fatal. What would you do? Comment below. Dr. Chun examined Sarah's forearm with confidence. Localized hematoma, he declared. Ice and rest. Nothing more. He missed the subtle warmth. Hematomas aren't warm. Meanwhile, the worm beneath her skin paused, slowed by the cold compress, creating a false sense of relief. Sarah went home, hoping it would disappear. Desperate, she sought another doctor. Dr. Patel frowned, watching her describe the sensation. Muscle fasciculations from anxiety, he said. Anti-anxiety medication prescribed. Dramatic irony. The real cause was crawling unseen beneath the skin. Sedated, Sarah drifted, unaware that each hour allowed the worm to tunnel further. The bump had changed shape. A dermatologist diagnosed a subcutaneous cyst and prepared for minor surgery. As the assistant sterilized the area, the bump moved 2 centimeters toward her elbow. Normal tissue shifting. The dermatologist dismissed it. Surgery was postponed, giving the parasite more freedom. Sarah arrived at the ER, panic in her voice. The attending suspected cellulitis, 4 antibiotics, steroids. A medical student whispered, "Has anyone considered parasites?" The attending shook his head. Sarah screamed. It moved during the ultrasound. Doctors exchanged glances. They trusted the charts. 7 days. For doctors. 0 correct diagnoses. Each treatment gave the worm what it needed. Time, warmth, and a sedated host who couldn't fight back. By now, it had advanced from forearm to shoulder. Sarah's trust in medicine cracked. The worm thrived. You've seen 4 confident doctors, all wrong. The 5th wants a psychiatric evaluation. Do you? A. Submit and risk another 48 hours of delay. Or B. Demand testing for parasites despite no risk factors. One choice wastes critical time. The other might save your life. What would you do? Day 8. Dr. Emily Rodriguez, an infectious disease specialist, was called in after the psychiatric consult. She listened, not to the charts, but to Sarah's story. "Show me the movement," she said. Sarah pressed on her shoulder. The skin rippled. "That's not fasciculation," Dr. Rodriguez whispered. "That's locomotion." Within the hour, she identified it. Dermatobia hominis, the human Botfly larva. Tropical, rare in temperate climates, somehow contracted by Sarah in her local environment. The room went silent. Doctors exchanged glances. They trusted the charts. The larva didn't chew, it dissolved. Proteolytic enzymes secreted from its spiracles liquefied tissue at a cellular level. Blood vessels weakened. Nerve endings sent distress signals. Its cuticle mimicked host proteins, evading immune cells. Anticoagulants kept blood flowing. Invisible, untouchable, evolution's perfect infiltrator. Dr. Rodriguez explained the 3 a.m. phenomenon. Human body temperature drops to 96 to 97 degrees Fahrenheit between 2 to 4 a.m. The larva becomes more active when cooler, a survival tactic from tropical origins to avoid predators. It tracked warmth gradients toward nutrient-rich muscle tissue, avoiding areas with high immune activity. This was programmed by millions of years of evolution. Sarah's hand trembled as Dr. Rodriguez showed her the ultrasound. The larva now lay between shoulder blade and spine, near critical nerves. It moves 2 to 3 centimeters per day when undisturbed, she explained. Every time anti-anxiety medication sedated you, you stopped feeling it. That's when it moved fastest. The medical cascade hadn't just delayed diagnosis. It had removed Sarah's only warning system. Dr. Rodriguez's face was grim. Second in star, almost ready to pupate. If we don't remove it within 48 hours, it will emerge through your skin. Exit wounds can cause permanent nerve damage. Sarah felt the familiar crawling. The larva was moving again. Time was running out. You finally know what's inside you. A botfly larva burrowing toward your spine. The specialist warns, surgical removal is risky. One mistake could release toxins or leave fragments causing sepsis. Do you? A. Trust the specialist and schedule emergency surgery. B. Research the suffocation method online and attempt it yourself tonight. Doctors have failed before. Can you trust them now? At 6 a.m. Sarah was in the OR. Dr. Rodriguez made the first incision between the shoulder blades, spreading tissue under ultrasound guidance. Forceps hovered over the larva's shadow. The moment suction touched it, the creature convulsed, sliding deeper, its cuticle slick with its own toxic secretions. Enzymes had turned surrounding muscle into a gelatinous mess. I can't grip it, the surgeon said, voice low. If I pull harder, the spine is right there. After 45 brutal minutes, the team closed her up. The larva was still inside. They moved to Plan B, a directed ivermectin injection into the tissue pocket. For hours, nothing happened. Then at 3 p.m., a new pain arrived, pressure and swelling unlike the crawl. The larva had been paralyzed and was rupturing. Fragments and digestive enzymes leaked into Sarah's bloodstream. Fever spiked to 103 degrees Fahrenheit. Her white blood cell count rocketed into the 20s. The treatment had worked. The larva was dying. But so was Sarah. With sepsis looming, Dr. Rodriguez cut open the site again, this time wide enough for irrigation. Forceps were useless. She flushed the wound cavity with saline and gently drew out tissue and larval fragments, piece by piece. For 3 hours under harsh lights, suction jars filled with cloudy fluid and shredded material. Sarah was awake for parts of it. Local anesthetic only. She felt pressure, flushing, the scraping. Every sensation confirmed the reality of what had lived inside her. At the end, the surgeon held up a jar. 6 pale fragments, the invader, in pieces. The pieces were out, but the danger remained. For 72 hours, nurses charted hourly vitals. Fevers, spiking white counts, blood pressure swings. If a single fragment remained, it could reignite sepsis. We improvised, Dr. Rodriguez said later. This isn't in any textbook. We only had to hope we got it all. Day 12. Sarah's fever finally broke. Scans showed no living larval tissue. The parasite was gone, but the scars weren't only on her back. She had felt something move, fight, and retreat inside her body. She had lived with it as part of herself, and now that it was gone, something darker lingered. The immediate battle was over, but the war inside Sarah's mind had just begun. Sarah survived, but only because her doctor improvised outside any protocol. The next botfly victim might not be so lucky. There's still no standard treatment, no textbook answer, no guarantee. Would you gamble on medical improvisation with your spine at risk? Day 15. Sarah was walking again. Week 4. Scans showed no living tissue. Week 8. The phantom crawling was worse, not better. On paper, she was recovered, but her body didn't feel like hers. Every twitch, every muscle spasm, every ripple under her skin sent her spiraling. Doctors called it formication, a misfiring of inflamed nerves. Sarah didn't believe that. She was convinced the parasite was alive, hiding. She began checking mirrors for skin ripples. Twice, a simple calf cramp sent her to the ER. What if it spread? She asked. Even normal digestion felt like invasion. Night after night, the same nightmare. Not one larva, but hundreds. Her husband said she screamed in her sleep. By dawn, she was terrified to close her eyes. At her lowest, she admitted, I almost wish it had killed me. At least it would be over. Her doctor immediately scheduled trauma counseling. Dr. Rodriguez saw her again in week 3. The stitches healed perfectly. The mind had not. I've removed hundreds of foreign bodies, she told a colleague. But I've never seen someone so haunted. Like her body became a crime scene, she can't leave. The larva was gone, but it had taught her body a language of fear she couldn't unlearn. Trauma doesn't respect victories. It just waits for 3 a.m. Sarah survived the parasite. But can you survive your own mind? The larva was real for 9 days. The phantom crawling has lasted 8 months. Which horror would you choose? Sarah is alive in 2025. The larva is long gone, but she's not back to normal. She still avoids ceiling fans, still checks her skin in mirrors, still jolts awake at phantom crawling sensations. Those behaviors aren't just eccentric. They're adaptive alarms that won't shut off. And she's not alone. Case reports across dermatology journals describe similar post-parasitic PTSD. survivors of cutaneous botfly infestations reporting insomnia, compulsive skin checking, and even tactile hallucinations years later. The mind doesn't forgive what the body once failed to prevent. Changing climates and shifting vector ranges are pushing tropical parasites into temperate zones. Entomologists warn botflies have been documented farther north than ever before. In 2024, 3 confirmed human cases were reported in Texas, where the fly had never established itself. 6 months later, dermatologists in southern Spain logged their first ever domestic cases. The vectors don't travel alone. More global movement, more wildlife overlap, and warmer winters extend the breeding window. Each year, the line between exotic parasite and local threat blurs a little further. And here's what keeps doctors awake. Not all cases are caught in time. Larvae can migrate deeper, reaching muscle or even cranial cavities. In veterinary medicine, cerebral infestations are well documented. For humans, that possibility is more nightmare than statistic, but every expansion in range reopens the question. Sarah's own story ends uneasily. At her last therapy session, she told her doctor she'd felt movement again under her forearm. They checked. Nothing was there. But last month, 3 patients in Houston described the exact same sensation. Dermatologists are still looking for the larvae. They haven't found them yet. That buzzing outside your window tonight, it may not be just a mosquito.